Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. If you remember in lesson 14, we discussed how to make Jumla Ismiya. And that happened after we discussed Murakkab Tawsifi to a significant extent. We looked at Jumla Ismiya and then went back to Murakkab Tawsifi. We are going to revisit Jumla Ismiya today because there is a lot more to know about Jumla Ismiya. As we said at the time, Arabic is unique in a way that you can make Jumla, which means a sentence, without a verb. And that sentence is called nominal sentence, Jumla Ismiya. You just put two nouns together in a way that gives the meaning of a full sentence. Of the current languages, only the sister language Hebrew does have this kind of Jumla. All the other languages, they need a verb to make a sentence, to make a Jumla. So Jumla Ismiya has two components. It has two nouns put together in a special way. The first noun is called Mubtada and the second noun is called Khabar. We'll come back to that in a sec. Remember, we started Murakkab Tawsifi and we said Waladun Hasanun, a good boy. Then we made this definite and we said Al Waladul Hasanu, the good boy. And then what we did, we made this, the second noun, indefinite. And when we said Al Waladu Hasanun, that was translated as, or that's what it means, the boy is good. So from going definite to indefinite, that's where the helping word is MR comes to give the meaning of a full sentence in Arabic. But there is no helping verb in Arabic at all. So let's look at this sentence, Al Waladu Hasanun, the boy is good. In this, Al Waladu is the Mubtada, which is kind of equivalent to subject as we discussed in lesson 14. And Hasanun is Khabar, which is information about Mubtada. Mubtada basically means starting point, and Khabar is Khabar, information, news. And Mubtada and Khabar combine to make Jumla Ismiya, and we call it Jumla Ismiya Khabariya. In our Murakkab Tawsifi, we had two nouns put together in a way that this was Mawsuf and that was Sifa. This noun described that noun. So making adjective phrase. And that is Jumla Ismiya compared to this. I'm sure you can see the difference because in Jumla Ismiya, the first noun, which is Mubtada, which is our starting point, is definite. And Mubtada, we said last time, is almost always definite. And Khabar is almost always indefinite. So when we look at these four qualities of a noun, we said at the time that Mubtada is in Rafa on its own right, Khabar is in Rafa on its own right. Mubtada is usually definite, Khabar is usually indefinite, and from the other two aspects, jins and other, Khabar follows Mubtada. So that was our basic simple Jumla Ismiya. Now, when I say Al Waladu Hasanun, the boy is good, you may be wondering whether the boy is really good, and I want to reassure you the boy is indeed good. So how do we say that in Arabic? We bring inna, which is a particle of emphasis. So inna comes at the beginning of this jumla ismiya. So by putting inna here, we'll say innal walada hasanun. Of course, the boy is good. So one thing, the inna has produced emphasis in it, and I'm saying the boy is really good. And second, I'm sure you have noticed that here I have said al waladu, which is in rafa, and here I have written al walada, innal walada. So walad here is in nasab. So one action of inna is to produce emphasis, and the second is that inna takes is noun to the nasab form. So the noun which follows inna will always be mansub. Inna does not have any effect on khabar, so khabar remains in rafa. Now we said that mubtada is on its own right always in rafa, and now the mubtada, the same noun, has gone into the state of nasab. So, and also this is not the starting point anymore because we are starting with inna. So terminology changes here when inna comes. When we add inna to the sentence, so we call this the first noun ismo inna, the ism of inna, because that makes sense. It's not in rafa anymore, and we said mubtada is always in rafa. So because it's changed, so terminology changed, and it's called ismo inna. And this is khabar because khabar hasn't changed. So sometimes we just call it khabar, and sometimes we say khabru inna. So ismo inna and khabru inna combine to make jumla ismiya, and there is emphasis in it. Now, inna really doesn't have its own meaning. It is just a particle of emphasis, and that's what Arabs do when they have to bring emphasis in their speech. They bring inna. But when we translate into other languages such as English, we will have to then translate that basically emphasis, and then we can say, indeed the boy, of course the boy really is. So these are the words which we then use to bring that emphasis in the sentence. And then we say, inna means this, inna means indeed, inna means of course. But that's not really exactly the meaning of inna. Inna has a function of emphasis in the sentence. Just a point. Now, I have said the boy is really good, and if the other person is still not convinced the boy is good, then I'll have to produce more emphasis in my speech the way I'm putting that to that person. So what I can do is I can bring lam zabar la. Lam zabar la has the same amount of emphasis. It works like inna, but inna and lam of tawqeed, we call it lam of emphasis, lam tawqeed, one thing, they do not come together. We cannot say inna lal walada, that's not going to work. So they do not come together, and because they do not come together and we want to bring more emphasis in our speech, then we put lam zabr la, lam tawqeed, on khabar. So in this case we will say innal walada la hasanun, the boy is really really good, whichever way you want to convey that in English. Saying in English the boy is really good is not really the right way of speaking in English, but the point is that there is a lot of emphasis in here because of these two particles of emphasis, inna and lam zabar la. You have noticed that lam zabar la hasn't changed the i'rab of the noun. So that's exactly what it is. It doesn't change the i'rab of the noun to which it is prefixed, whether it is at the beginning or it is later on in the sentence. For example, if we look at this example, we say Hamidun Hasanun. Hamid is good. Now we want to produce emphasis in it. We can actually bring lam here rather than inna. We can bring lam here and we say La Hamidun Hasanun. Of course, indeed Hamid is good. Hamid is really good. But then you have noticed that even on this first noun, which was initially mubtada, it still is mubtada. Lam of tawqeed, lam tawqeed hasn't changed the status of the noun. It is still in rafa, and khabar is going to be in rafa anyway. So even if it comes at the beginning of the sentence, it will give the same degree of emphasis. So la hamidun hasanun, Hamid is really good. And then we can produce further emphasis. We can say inna hamidan hasanun. Actually, it's in place of la, we can say inna hamidan hasanun. So it's the same degree of emphasis. And then we put these together to produce further emphasis. We'll say inna hamidan la hasanun. So inna and lam will not come together in the sentence, and you have seen here that with inna, hamidun has become hamidan, so its i'rab has changed. Let us look at an example from Quran. This is Surah Adiyat, which is Surah number 100 in Quran, and this is ayah number 6 of Surah Adiyat. Innal insana li rabbihi lakanut. The man, or the human, the man, that's what it means. Of course, the man, indeed the man, is ungrateful to his Lord. That's what it means, this sentence, this full ayah. If we dissect this, I use the word dissect. If we dissect this ayah, the starting point here without inna will be al insanu kunudun. The man is ungrateful. But actually there is emphasis in here already in this pattern. We have learned about patterns in Arabic, and this is the pattern of fa'udun. For example, we say ghafurun. Allah is ghafur. Not forgiving, but very forgiving. So there is already emphasis in this. Saburun, not patient, but very patient. So in this qanud, there is already element of emphasis, and the correct translation, if we do the translation, is going to be the man is very ungrateful. And Lirabbihi. I have brought Lirabbihi here at the end. In Quran it is not. This is clearly not Quran. That is the normal word order and arrangement in Jumla Ismiya. In Jumla Ismiya, the default structure, the default arrangement in Jumla Ismiya is that we have a Mubtada at the beginning, then we have Khabar, and if anything comes afterwards, and in this case we call this jar majroor, which is muta'allaq khabar. So muta'allaq khabar tends to be in the default form after the khabar towards the end of the sentence. In this case, it is not just simple murakkab jari. We can say here Rabb, which is Lord, and He, which is Damir, which means his Rabb. Rabbi, my Rabb. Rabbuka, your Rabb. Rabbuhi, his Rabb. Here it is Rabba. So Rabb here is mudaf, and dhamir who is mudaf ilayh, and that makes murakkab idafi. And that murakkab idafi is majroor. The whole of this murakkab, whole of this phrase is majroor for this harif jar, which is lamzirli. Remember, it's not lamzirla here, lamzirli. So, al insanu kanudun li rabbihi. The man is very ungrateful to his Lord. And that's our analysis. Mubtada, khabar, and muta'alliq khabar combine to make jumla ismiya khabariya. And that is the default structure or default nature of word arrangement in jumla ismiya. So in the ayah, because the aim was to produce emphasis, so inna has come at the beginning. Innal insana. So insanu has gone to nasab. Innal insana. Of course, the man. And then kunudun, we have got a lam of tawqeed here for further emphasis. So, of course, indeed, the man is very ungrateful. Actually, there is very here, and that's how it really becomes difficult to translate these ayah into any other language, because you find difficult to bring that emphasis in translation. That's one thing. And second, in word order and arrangement, sometimes some words are brought earlier than their usual place, and that happens for two reasons. One, maybe it's the rhyming of the words in high quality prose, and there will be this word order and arrangement will be such that they're put together in a way to go with the other sentences or ayah in the surah, that they rhyme with one another, and that becomes appealing and that becomes attractive to the audience as a high quality language. And the second is because Rab, which is we translate as Lord, Rab is somebody who looks after you, who fulfills all your needs. So the man is not just ungrateful to anybody, for example, is ungrateful to the very entity who has looked after him, who has provided him with shelter, with food, with everything else, and security. So that's where to cause make the point, to give this importance and bring further emphasis in the ayah. This was brought before khabar here. So innal insana li rabbihi. The man is ungrateful, not to anybody else, actually, not anybody, but to his Lord. The Lord who has fulfilled all his needs becomes ungrateful to him. So you can see there's a lot of emphasis in here, and that's where the Quranic Arabic, the classical Arabic, really becomes very interesting. We look at a second example here. This is Surah number 103, this is ayah number 2, and that's ayah number 1. Wal asr. By the fading day, we can say, because asr is a time when the day is about to finish, and in olden days, all the things which people used to do, the business part of the things and everything else, they used to happen during daylight. And when it is the late afternoon kind of time, that means the day is now going. If you want to have your business kind of, if it is still not going well for you, there's not much time now. So try your best, do your best to increase your business. So that's why this oath is by that part of the day, to just give it emphasis again here. So that's ayah number 1, which is our focus is really this ayah, innal insana lafi husrin. So similarly, it is al insanu, which because of inna, it has become innal insana. So that's a particle of emphasis inna, and that's ismo inna. This will be actually fi khusrin, jar majroor, just like jar majroor here. And this is the lam of tawqid here again, just like this. So innal insana lafi khusrin, in loss. It's not just in loss, it's most translations say, and that makes sense, that the man is in deep loss. If we really go into the nitty gritty of it, there's again lots and lots and lots of emphasis here, which is very difficult to bring in translation. For example, who is taking the oath? Allah is taking the oath. So that's the first emphasis. Allah is taking the oath. Allah is saying it. That's first emphasis. And then Allah is saying by oath. That's the second emphasis. Then inna has been brought as a third emphasis. La has been put in as fourth emphasis. And after that, you can say this khusr has been used indefinite. Indefinite nouns, we know definite is a specific, indefinite is wider kind of entity. You have much more choice there, but indefinite is also used sometimes either to increase or decrease the value of something. So to increase or decrease the value of something when it's brought as indefinite, so khusr becomes great loss. That's fifth emphasis, that huge loss, big loss. So not a small loss. And then the sixth emphasis is khusr is something, that kind of loss. It's not that you're losing your profit. You're actually also losing your capital which you put in. So that's the sixth emphasis in it. So 6 degrees of emphasis in these two ayah. Very, very interesting. That's another ayah from Quran. This is Surah Yasin, Surah number 36, ayah number 3. Innaka laminal mursaleen. Of course, you are one of the messengers. You are a messenger. Mursaleen. So it is having used here as jar majroor again here in this whole ayah. So that will be, we'll analyze this, that this is again a khabar here. There are many messengers, and of course you are one of those messengers. So innaka, here we see that after inna we don't have a noun like this. We have actually damir here, damir, which is pronoun. So innaka, of course you. The basic form of this will be anta, you. Anta minal mursalina. You are from messengers. So anta, when we bring inna, we cannot really say inna anta, because we know that inna changes the status of its noun to nasab, and anta is actually one of those damair which are in rafa form. If you remember our video on damair, these are the damair which are damair marfu'a munfasila, stand alone damair, which are 14 like the other one, which is huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna, ana, nahnu. So this is anta. So anta is in marfu form. If we have to bring you in mansoob or majroor form, it has to be the other set of damair, which we said hu, huma, hum, ha, huma, hunna, ka, kuma, kun, tum, ki, kuma, kunna, and ya and na. So ka is in this case, because of inna, we know that it's not in majroor form. This is mansoob form. So these zamair, we call them zamair majrura muttasila. the joint, the ma'ir, they are used as joint with the other words. So innaka, of course you, and then minal mursalin, lam taqid has come here on this harfijar. So lam minal mursalin, you are from the messengers. So there is a again lot of emphasis here. Yasin wal Quran al Hakim innaka laminal mursalin. I hope that all has sunk in. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.